Hi guys, how is it going? Nice to meet you. In this series, we are going to discuss the most common mistakes in English that is made by a lot of people in exams like IELTS exam or at school. We are going to discuss 5 mistakes at a time and we'll start after the intro. The first common mistake is when you say, I am absorbed at something. And the right thing to say is absorbed in, which means very much interested. So don't say the man was absorbed at his work. However, you should say the man was absorbed in his work. A lot of people say accuse for, but actually that's wrong. You should say accuse of, not for. So don't say she accused the man for stealing, but you may say she accused the man of stealing. In addition, you should say accustomed to, not with, which means that something is very familiar to you. Therefore, you should say I'm accustomed to hot weather. The fourth common mistake is saying Laura is afraid from the dog. I know it looks more natural to say afraid from, but actually you have to say Laura is afraid of the dog. Now we come to the last one. Don't say the teacher was angry against him, but you should say the teacher was angry with him. The first common mistake is when you say anxious for, and the right thing to say is anxious about. So don't say they are anxious for his health, but you may say they are anxious about his health. A lot of people say arrive to, but actually that's wrong. You should say arrive at, not to. So don't say we arrived to the village at night, but you may say we arrived at the village at night. In addition, you should say ashamed of, not from. Therefore, you should say he is now ashamed of his conduct. The fourth common mistake is saying we believe to God, but actually you should say we believe in God. Now we come to the last one. Don't say Thomas is very careful for her health, but you should say Thomas is very careful of or careful about his health. I know it may look more natural to say careful for, but actually that's wrong. The first common mistake is when you say complain for, and the right thing to say is complain about. So don't say Annette complained for the weather. However, you should say Annette complained about the weather. A lot of people say composed from. I know it may look more natural to say that, but actually the right thing is composed of. So you have to say our class is composed of 5 students, not composed from 5 students. In addition, you should say ashamed of, not from. So don't say he is now ashamed from his conduct, but you may say he is now ashamed of his conduct. The fourth common mistake is saying I have great confidence to you, but actually you have to say I have great confidence in you. Don't say we must conform with the rules. You should say we must conform to the rules. The first common mistake is when you say congratulate for, and the right thing to say is congratulate on. So don't say I congratulate you for your success, but you may say I congratulate you on your success. A lot of people say consist from. I know it may look more natural to say, but actually the right thing to say is consist of. So you should say a year consists of 12 months. In addition, you should say covered with, not by. Therefore, you should say the mountains are covered with snow. The fourth common mistake is saying the man was cured from his illness. But actually you have to say the man was cured of his illness, not from his illness. Now we come to the last one. Don't say it depends from here, but you should say it depends on or it depends upon her. The first common mistake is when you say dressed with, and the right thing to say is dressed in. So you shouldn't say the woman was dressed with black, but you may say the woman was dressed in black. A lot of people say good in, but actually that's wrong. You should say good at. So don't say my sister is good in maths, but you should say my sister is good at maths. In addition, you should say guard against, not from. So you have to say you must guard against bad habits. The fourth common mistake is saying Stephen failed from or at maths last year. However, you have to say Stephen failed in maths last year. Now we come to the last one. Don't say he was found guilty for murder, but you should say he was found guilty of murder. Finally, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the subscribe button in order to get more videos like this one. Also, there will be a lot of videos in the forthcoming days about English in general and IELTS exam specifically. So please share the video and the channel, and you may check our channel for more useful videos. This is Mo Nazli, and I hope to see you again.